Hello and welcome to Futrsmpl Friday Live. You're here with me, Lucinda Bray, and with our guest today, Francesca James from the Great British Entrepreneur Awards. It's been a little while since we have done a Futrsmpl Friday Live. We're going to be slightly changing things up at the moment because it's not live. B, it's not really usually on a Friday, so the name is now slightly out there. So we're going to change it to the Futrsmpl Founder Focus and just have chats to founders, see what's going on, and chat with them through the thing. And it's probably going to be once every couple of weeks or once every month now instead of weekly. We got up to 20 episodes in a weekly, which took lots of time and energy. So we're going to try and balance things a bit better now. But that's enough about me and Futrsmpl. Let's move on to Francesca. So tell us a bit about you and the Great British Entrepreneur Awards.
Cool. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. My name's Francesca. I'm the founder of the NatWest Great British Entrepreneur Awards. We're now going into year 7, which sort of always blows my mind when I realise how long we've been doing this for. And I guess a little bit about us. We're more than an award ceremony. For us, we're about building that community and that ecosystem that sort of connects and engages with our alumni throughout the year beyond the awards programme. But of course, we also do what we say on the tin, and we do all of our activity culminates in regional finals that we now this year are going into 8 cities. So it's all quite exciting. I think what makes us quite different is that we focus on the story of the entrepreneur as opposed to the balance sheet. And for us, that's enabled us to meet some absolutely wonderful people that might not consider themselves perhaps ready or right for another awards programme. But we've uncovered some brilliant stories and people doing some wonderful things. And yeah, it's a real joy to be, to be running this project. So yeah, amazing. In a nutshell.
So how did you decide to start an awards ceremony or an awards group?
My background, I used to work on a publication, which I still do now, which is Fresh Business Thinking. So it's an online resource for business owners, directors and entrepreneurs. And as a result of that, we were often invited to engage or take part in other award ceremonies out there. But typically, they all focused, primarily and exclusively on the bottom line of an entrepreneur's business. And we thought, well, exactly what I said at the beginning, there's an opportunity, particularly with our publishing hat on, is let's tell the stories of these people that are creating things and changing the way in which we live and work. And then the Great British Entrepreneur Awards was born. When we launched, we didn't know if it would be 50 people at a drinks reception or 500 people at a gala final. Fast forward into year 7, and now we will have 8 gala finals and 1 national final, and over 3,000 applications expected this year. So yeah,
wow,
it's taken on a bit of a life of its own.
Yeah, and so you're sponsored by NatWest and the Royal Bank of Scotland and three of them. Did that partnership come about quite easily, or was it? How did that happen?
Yeah, so it was a really interesting one. We've actually worked with NatWest and their whole bank of brands. So yeah, Royal Bank of Scotland, Ulster Bank and Coutts. We've worked with them since day one. So there was always an appetite from them to support entrepreneurs and to engage in the ecosystem that we wanted to lead, I guess. And every year we sort of got together and said, okay, how can we do more together? How can we make this bigger and better? So it's very much been a partnership in terms of getting it from where it was year 1 to where it is now. So I think certainly in terms of volume, we're the largest business awards. But as I mentioned, we're quite different in terms of what we're looking for and what we do beyond the award ceremony. So, I guess yourself a perfect example. You've come through the awards programme, and we stay in touch with our alumni. We want to support them. We want to share their news. We want to connect them with interesting people. And it's all about sort of building that ecosystem around the awards, because the awards is nice. But it's a lot more exciting when you can actually sort of follow an entrepreneur on their journey and help them where we can at various stages. And we're lucky enough to have a very supportive ecosystem that sits around GBEA that enables us to sort of call on the expertise or help of somebody else if another entrepreneur needs assistance. And it's been fantastic.
Brilliant. And is there any particular highlights that you can think of that make you go, yes, this is why we do this?
Yeah, so I think for us, we get so many wonderful comments all the time about people saying, it's because of GBEA that gave me the confidence to go out and raise my next round of investment. I've had people say that it was because they were able to list themselves as a Great British Entrepreneur Award winner that it was a crucial element to their investment pitch. I think for me, our wow. We have entrepreneurs of all sizes. We've got 12 categories for each year, ranging from micro business to scale up entrepreneur. But for me, what's really exciting is when you actually sort of pick up and celebrate an entrepreneur before they become the household name. So, for example, James Watt of Brewdog was one of our very early winners, but everyone knows Brewdog now.
Yeah.
Back then, they weren't the Brewdog that we know and love. And so that's so inspiring to be able to see that journey sort of beyond the awards. And just meeting brilliant people.
I suppose it's almost like that band thing, when you're like a teenager and you're like, I knew them before they were famous. But in entrepreneur text.
Absolutely. When entrepreneurs are the new rock stars, aren't they?
Yeah, totally. They are in my world. It's really funny. You start to go around and you're starting to get that kind of, but they're really famous. And you're like, they're not famous. They just run a big business. But in your head, you're like, they're really famous to me. But yeah, it's totally different for different people. And has there been any challenges along the way for you?
Yeah, of course, like every business, we face sort of challenges along the way. But overall, it's been a absolutely brilliant project to be involved in. I'm fortunate enough to be surrounded by a fantastic team who work for Great British Entrepreneur Awards. But then beyond that, we sort of see our judges and our partners and our alumni as a bit of an extension of the team, because ultimately I think entrepreneurs want to support entrepreneurs, and we've found ourselves at the centre of something that's really exciting. So yes, of course there are challenges, but I think sometimes it's quite nice to take stock of where you've got to and actually appreciate the good things rather than dwell on the negatives.
It's quite funny you mentioned your partners and your sponsors. Just got to tell you this little story. At the awards in Edinburgh last year, Mini was sponsoring one of the categories, and they were doing sort of like a prize giveaway at the beginning with keys in a bowl, which I'm not weird, but and one of the other entrepreneurs that I know got a little orange Mini, a little mini car, and then she said, you can have it for your son. My son was only about 2 at the time. He has now become so attached to this Mini. Literally, I have got 1,000,001 photos of him with orange Minis. Every time he sees an orange Mini, he has to stand in front of it and I have to take a photo of him.
Well, share those with us, because I'm sure that's fantastic.
I've got this whole category of him standing with orange Minis.
Brilliant.
So it's so bizarre. The little things that people pick up and take. But it will always remind me of the awards.
Fantastic. Well, that's exactly what we're going for. And Mini have been a great partner as well since day one. And I think that's really exciting, is to be able to work with partners that are equally as excited and enthusiastic about supporting an entrepreneurial ecosystem. And we've been very fortunate that we found that with the partners that we're working with. So
So how do you find, just from anyone else startup point of view, going out and making those partnerships? Is it just a kind of, I'm just going to go and ask, or did you have kind of links in the first place? How did you find making those kind of connections?
Quite a lot of been just going out and asking. I'm becoming very familiar with LinkedIn and their sort of sales navigator suite at the moment, and just being able to identify the right people. And actually what's interesting is that with something like the Great British Entrepreneur Awards, a brand partner will either just really get it and want to come on the journey with us, or it's not right for them. And I think I think it's putting yourself out there and going in to talk to lots of people, but actually the realization that sometimes what you're selling or what you're offering might not be in line with them, and it doesn't mean it's not right for the next person. So I think it's like with any sort of salesperson, it's a numbers game, but just I think building those relationships and nurturing those relationships and really trying to understand, I guess, what your client is looking for when you're trying to offer them a solution.
Okay. Good stuff. We'll pass that on. Okay, so we will move on to the questions. I'm just going to put a timer on my phone because otherwise we will be on this section forever. Okay, so now normally we take it in turns, but that's going to be a bit difficult over the screen. So I will try and shuffle so people.
Okay.
And then pick the one at the top. Okay, so the idea behind most of these cards, just to fill you in, is they're either surrounded by goals of things that we think of at Futrsmpl. I personally am really quite passionate on people being much more open about their mental health, whether it's good, bad, ugly, all right, whatever it is, just being a bit more open about that conversation. Goals that you have as businesses, how you are thinking of new and interesting ways to market yourself as a strategy agency. So that's kind of the ideas around most of these questions and where we've come from. Okay. So first one, goal for the week and how will you measure it?
Oh, okay. So we're in the process of launching something quite new and we think really exciting called the Hall of Fame. Which basically is a way that as the Great British Entrepreneur Awards, we recognise our judges and our supporters, as well as the people who get up onto stage and pick up the trophy. So we've been very, very fortunate that over we've had some judges that have been with us since day one, and they're incredible people, household names, founders of Mobo Awards, King of Shaves, Powwow Now, really exciting businesses. And we created this event as an opportunity to say thank you from us and the entrepreneur community. So I guess how are we measuring it? Well, we launched, it was something new. We wanted to see if people would get it and get behind it. They absolutely have. Metrics, we've got an event that celebrates the Hall of Fame at the end of May. So I think it's a relatively straightforward one for us to track, because are we getting the right number of people in the room, and are we getting the right people in the room? So far, it looks like we most certainly are.
Brilliant. That sounds really exciting. I think I really like that side of things, because there's a funny entrepreneur, this might just be my own perception, but it feels like entrepreneur is one of those things that you're either just starting out or you're super, super successful. But there's a whole wealth in the middle and everything else that goes on. And if your business has been going for 10 years, that's a huge amount of success that you still need to celebrate, but you're still going through the challenges and the kind of the grind at that point as well. And you getting a whole new set of challenges to consider too. So it sounds really important to kind of celebrate those dates as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's fantastic. From our point of view, goal of the week, we are trying to kickstart these again, I think, is the thing. We took a pause at the beginning of March to kind of reassess where we're going to take them. We did 20 episodes, weekly episodes, and then it was getting to the point where we had so much business, which is fantastic, that we couldn't quite fit these in. So we had to kind of reassess. So our goal is to work out the next step for Futrsmpl Friday Live, or Founder Focus, or whatever it gets called. And I suppose we'll measure it by if we see the same kind of engagement and what the feedback is off that as well.
Yeah,
so
fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Example of a marketing campaign that inspired you or really got attention.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you one that I'm absolutely loving at the moment. So it's not one of ours, but it's one of our judges. It's a guy called Will King. He's been a supporter of ours since the very beginning. And Will is the King of Shaves, and the King of Shades. It's a fantastic name, fantastic branding. He's just launched something called Code Zero, and basically it's hugely topical. It's a really fantastic project, and it's all about not using single-use plastics and being able to refill the grooming products in aluminium cases. And so essentially it's a one-off purchase that you're able to then send back and refill for life. And I think it's so important, but also their messaging is brilliant and hard hitting. Actually he got his ads banned from Twitter and Facebook because of some of the imagery that was being used. rightly or wrongly, but I think also Will's used it in a fantastic way. You know, if you come up against a negative in a marketing campaign like that, where you think it's a stumbling block, actually use it as an opportunity to get people, you know, we should be outraged that these social media networks are not letting us see what is really going on out and happening in the world. So
similar to the argument with Nutella and palm oil, wasn't it? Or was it I can't remember it was Iceland, wasn't it, that banned it?
Yes, it was. Yeah. So exactly like that. And I'm really sort of inspired by their approach to it and also their mission. But I think that from a marketing point of view, you know, Will's a genius and has absolutely got it spot on.
Brilliant. Yeah. I think the one that this is quite an old one from, well, not old, but a few months old now, that made me laugh, where I sit opposite one of the entrepreneurs in the hub who runs a sparkling wine, does an English sparkling wine, and he was looking at different ways of campaigning things, and we spotted the Aviator Jin that has just been bought by, this is where I'm going to totally forget his name, because
is it Ryan Reynolds?
Yes, it's just been bought by Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Thank you. And they did this really spoof hipster ad, and it went out everywhere on social media, and it was just hilarious because it was totally like, we get up and we cry over our juniper berries or whatever's in it, and all this kind of thing. It was just brilliant. It was really funnily done. And then they carried it on across social media and had this constant fight battle between him and another celebrity that I can't remember the name of. And yeah, so I think things like that, just when you know your own brand so well that you can take the mick out of it.
Absolutely.
I think that's a good place to be, and you can do it in a way that still hits the mark.
Absolutely.
Okay, what's next? Key learning. Do you have a key learning?
Oh, for this week or in general? We'll go general.
Yeah, let's go general, because this week's not that long.
No, it's been a short one. So I think entrusting people that are better than you to do the things that they are better at and they excel at. And I think it was a massive problem for me when I first started. I felt like I had to sign off every email, I had to have an ear open to every call, I had to approve all these micro tasks. And now the team on GBEA are fantastic, and they come up with things that continually sort of surprise and delight me and make the program better. And absolutely, it's because, you know, we've sort of got that culture of no idea is a stupid one, no question's a silly one. You know, let's build something that we're all proud of. And I think that it was hard for me to get there because I started this quite young, and I had no idea how to lead something or manage something. So I think that was a key learning for me.
It's a difficult one to do as well. Relinquish that kind of, it's that control, isn't it? You kind of feel like you do need to sign everything off, and you need to make sure, but it's that balance. At first, you also need to make sure that it is going in the right direction.
Absolutely do. Yeah.
Brilliant. I think mine, I suppose it's a similar, no, maybe not. Trusting your gut. I think it's the one that I forget. I tell myself it all the time. I tell other people it all the time. But actually myself, it's much harder to say that. I often am sitting with other people and getting lots of kind of through mentors or through other people that I'm working with, and they might suggest something, and I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe that is a good idea. But there's something in my gut that's going,
yeah.
And then later on, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months down the line, I go, yeah, it wasn't right, and I should have really just trusted my gut.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that comes with something, time and perseverance for myself, just to keep going, just to trust your gut. Yes. Okay. An interesting fact. This is gonna be a really random fact. I like the random ones are the better ones.
Okay. I'm not sure how interesting it is, but there were some interesting stories that came out of it, and people often seem sort of surprised when I tell them. So I didn't take the traditional route to, is there a traditional route to business ownership? I have no idea. But I didn't go straight to university. I took a job is a kind word for it. I was absolutely involved in some crazy pyramid scheme whereby I was doing door-to-door sales in the South Wales valleys on 100% commission, and I did it for 2 years, and there were very interesting stories. I mean, if you've never visited South Wales valleys, there are some interesting characters, but overall some very friendly characters. And you found yourself sort of being invited in, you'd sell someone a telephone package and you'd be invited in for lunch, and then they'd drive you around all of their neighbours because they all lived in the same valley. And there were some brilliant stories, and I met some fantastic people through it, some my best friends to this day. And I think for me, I used to be painfully shy. I'd go bright red if someone spoke to me. So that was my sort of university of life, toughen up a bit, and you go out and talk to you do toughen up when the rain's coming sideways and you've earned £10 for the day and you've got to knock on another 100 doors. So yeah, it's maybe not that interesting, but a lot of people get surprised at it.
No, that's good, because it is very much like, because part of that. But business is 100% commission, really, isn't it? Absolutely. You are literally standing there going, if you don't knock on the doors and you don't call someone, who's gonna do it? It's still such a trend. People kind of almost being afraid of picking up the phone, or not wanting, or they'll send 3 emails, and because they don't get a response, they'll say, "Oh, that's not working." It's like, well, actually, just speak to them, because the chances are their email box is so full. They've just not looked at it, or they just, if they're anything like me, which is terrible, they'll look at it and go, must reply to that, or I'll reply to it in my head, think I've replied to it, and then come back to it a little bit later going, don't know if that actually went anywhere, or if it was just my head.
One of our big bugbears in the office was always if someone had said, I've spoken to them, and actually what does spoken to mean? Because some people will say I've spoken to them and they've gone back and forth on email. No, you haven't. You're in communication with them. But I think it's just making sure that everybody's on the same page in terms of language with that, because I think you're right. There's no substitute for picking up the phone to someone, meeting someone for a coffee, having a Skype call. And there's so many ways to do that now.
It's the same. I remember working in an office and everyone would just email each other, even if they just worked across the way. And I was just hated doing that. So I would just walk up to their desk and say hi. And they're like, what are you doing over here? I'm like, well, it's much quicker if I come and talk to you.
Yeah.
Then I get an answer. But each to their own and different ways of doing things. That's a great one. Okay, so jargon. Okay, jargon is a total pet hate of mine, and Futrsmpls. And abbreviations, but it's funny because we end up creating abbreviations all the time, especially in analytics and trying to understand things, but in general day we try and remove it as much as possible. So is there a jargon term or an abbreviation that you struggle to avoid?
But I quite like this one, so I think I'm like you. I like to stay away from them, and also because I used to do a lot of writing for some publications. It was sort of drilled into me to always explain what you mean rather than using an abbreviation or an acronym. But the one I love and we use a lot is BHAG. So that's our big, hairy, audacious goal. And we use it across, a load of stuff. So, when we were getting a bit of momentum with the awards, we have sort of 300 applications a year. Then it went to 600. Then we jumped hugely and we went to 1,250. And we said, right, what's our big, hairy, audacious goal? And it was 3,000, and we hit it. And I don't think we would have been happy had we not, because the numbers with us, it's a vanity metric, but it also proves what we're doing is inspiring and engaging others.
Celebration, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It gives you a point where you can all go, yes.
Yeah, and it's illustrative of the fact that entrepreneurship is very much alive and well. But God, we did not think that we'd hit 3,000. But had we not put that big, hairy, audacious goal on the wall, we would have been happy at 2 or 2.5, or wherever we'd got to. So I quite like that.
That's brilliant. I like that one. So what's your next BHAG then?
Oh, our next BHAG. We will. I think the BHAG is in progress at the moment. So,
so you've achieved it. Now you're like, what's the next one? Still working on where that might take you.
Yeah. So I don't think we're certainly not going to be going right now. We want 4,000. Now we want 5,000. I think that's the point where you need silly. We don't. Yeah. For us, the big, hairy, audacious goal is pulling off 8 events in 8 cities in about 5 weeks. No, very generous with time off and very sort of relaxed at most times in the year. But event season, all of our team know you do everything you can not to get ill, and we go 100%. But then then we fall into Christmas and we make sure that everybody gets rewarded and feels sort of the love back then. But yeah, it's a tough event season.
This is a really girly question. How many dresses do you need to have for event season? Because I struggle with just going to 1 or 2 a year thinking, oh, do I have to buy something new? Can I get away with what I had last year? Do you need a different one for everyone? Or do you kind of go, I'm in a different city, who's going to know?
Well, the thing is, there's a photograph and a press release from each event. So I do get a different one. But so when's this video going out? When will this podcast go out? Just depends
Probably
on what I can tell you.
Next week, I think.
Okay.
Sometime next week.
Okay,
towards
cool.
the end of it.
Awesome. Right. Well, I'll tell you then. So I don't need any ball gowns for this year. So we're actually changing everything. And we're doing it for a number of reasons. It costs us a lot as a small business to put on a black tie event. So I can't get away from the fact that I have to charge an entrepreneur £100 to £130 roughly, depending on the city, and London even more. And we've always sold out our events, but we're aware that it creates those sort of barriers to entry. So we thought, how can we strip it back, do it differently? And also, be a bit entrepreneurial about it, change it up. And not buy any dresses. So we're going to be doing the events in a little bit of a sort of talk show, late show sort of vibe. So we're going to be taking on sort of entertainment venues, comedy clubs, music spaces. And basically it will allow us to sell tickets to the events at a hugely reduced cost. So we're eliminating the barriers to entry, not just for the entrepreneur, but if they want to bring their teams, because people don't want to fly solo often to these events. And I am so aware that it costs a lot if you're looking to buy 3 or 4 tickets, a dress, accommodation, transport. It's ridiculous, but we can't get away from charging that because it costs us.
Yeah, you've got to put it on.
Yeah, so we thought, right, let's shake it up a bit, and we're about to announce that next week. So
I'll hold off until I read that press release.
But we're really excited about it. We think that it creates loads more networking opportunities as well. We think that it's going to be fun. It's going to be spirited. It's going to be entrepreneurial. And the national final, whereby we bring all the regional winners together, we'll do that in a sparkly black tie event. But everyone likes the opportunity to dress up once a year. But I think that it's exciting, and I think that's maybe our big, hairy, audacious goal is pulling that off, because what to expect when you turn up to a black tie event. We're almost saying, come to our event and we're going to show you what it's going to be. But we're so excited about it, and the feedback we've had so far has been brilliant. So
I think that sounds fab.
Good.
Awesome.
Good.
I like that.
Fantastic.
Casual and quirky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Totally went off on a tangent. I love tangents. Word of the week. Do you have a random word that you use often?
Yeah, this week, and probably links into what I've just been telling you, but is probably maverick, and is, I guess, how we're trying to be with the award. So we're just trying to act, think, do in an independent way, and behaving a little bit different to what you'd expect. That's it.
Like it. Although it does make me now want to watch Top Gun. Showing my age there, but yes, now I just want to watch Top Gun. Word of the week on this side is probably just need to get more organized. It's just been a bit frantic. We've just had so much going on and in and out, and then things pop up at last minute. And when you have everything lovely and planned, and then something happens and it all goes out the window.
Firefighting.
And I'm like, it does feel like it's been firefighting a bit this week. So I am looking forward to having some time of just reorganizing my files. It's really lame, but when you I've got ridiculous amount of screenshots on my desk. I've got files everywhere. I just want to organize it all. Yeah. And I'll be happy again. But firefighting is probably the right word. My dad is a firefighter, ironically.
Okay.
And he's just retired this week. So I'm going down to his house this weekend to help him set up his own website on firefighting.
Wow. Fantastic.
So that totally is the word of the week, but in two different ways. Okay, anything you're looking forward to next week? We've probably again already touched on this.
I think we have. I think our announcement, looking forward to that. On a personal level, I moved house last week, so it's nice to be settled now and be able to, not to be living in boxes. So yes, I'm looking forward to that next week. So getting organised, but in a personal personal way.
And have wine glasses at hand instead of in boxes.
Absolutely. Oh, I found those first.
Of course. What are we looking forward to next week? Next week we're starting a new campaign next week for a client, which will be good to get off the ground, because we've had it planned for a while. So I'm really looking forward to actually getting it out the door and getting going on it and seeing what results are going to come back from it. For me, I like the results almost more than the planning and creative side. I'm all about measurement and what's working and what's not working and how can we do it. Oh, that's our timer. That's our 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Goes quick. We've still got cards left. That's why I have to have a timer, otherwise we would be. So that's what we're looking forward to next week. So yes, that's our question time. Now, before I say thank you and let you go and get on with your day, the awards, when are the awards closing?
So you've actually got until end of June to get in your applications. Okay. So if anyone wants to apply, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're about the story of the entrepreneur, not just the balance sheet. So, go for it. Tell us your story. Put yourself at the center of, you're the hero of your tale. So tell it. You can do that on the website, which is greatbritishentrepreneurawards.com.
Fantastic. And is there any other tips? So it's about your story. Any one tip that is there things that people forget or anything that you add in sometimes?
Yeah, I think don't fall back on cliches. Your story's unique. Give us the warts and all as well, because that's often very much part of your why. And you've got to remember that the judges that are reading these applications have all been through similar stories and similar experiences. So I think that it's a really nice exercise to do, actually. Beyond the awards at the end, it's nice to actually sit down and take the time to tell your story and to think about it and to think about those milestones. And sometimes you forget, oh, okay, that was the trigger for that, and this is how I am where I am now. And we've made it super easy as well. So you can log in, start your application and finish it 2-3 weeks later. We've made it as easy as we possibly can for a busy entrepreneur, and it's free. So there you go. Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time. And it's been great chatting. And hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
Brilliant.
We certainly will. All right. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye bye.